Welcome, kayak anglers. You are tuning into the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network, kayak fishing's best network of shows with great hosts covering all things kayak fishing, bringing you special guests covering topics such as shore fishing, river trips, gear reviews, angler profiles, tournament news, and more. Sit back, relax. Let's do this.
I'm your host, Adam Pross, and this is the River Run Podcast. What is going on, everybody? Like I said, I'm Adam Pross. I'm your host of the River Run Podcast, and I welcome you to a very unique and special new segment that I got coming out on the podcast. This is called A River Runs Through It. It's actually a segment that is geared up with YakAttack. We talk products, talk trips, but at the same time, it is for somebody that, a brother, Mr. Wade Clements. He is the one and only show man. He is a busy man in the kayak world, especially with YakAttack. He's taken on some new role there too. He's in front of the camera, if I could actually talk today. So this is kind of a cool new segment that we got coming out. There's actually going to be another 2 segments coming out with this too. We have Down the Scuffer Hole, which is going to be a hot topic type of live interactive. You guys can get involved in it. And then we also have what's called Calm Water. Calm Water is more of a positive mindset podcast geared for inspirational people who've shown strength through recovery and how the outdoors has brought them from a darker stance and brought them back to the beautiful world that we live in, and how the outdoors help them through it, and especially kayak fishing. I know that for me is a very, very important part, especially in my own sobriety and even in since my accident. That's played a really big part. So so kind of a little inside scoop to what's going on with the River Run Podcast. As always, we got to shout out some of our awesome sponsors who come out and help out with the show. Needless to say, the Kayak Adventure Series, Drew Gregory's mastermind, is heading up to the Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania on the Susquehanna. It's a 6 stop. I just wanted to say, if this is for anybody up in Canada who's listening to this right now, go check it out. Unfortunately, I will not be there. I really wanted to go to this one, but I'm heading out to British Columbia. So family trip, me and my kids, we're going to do that. But the Kayak Adventure Series is going to be in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania from the 8th to the 9th, but the tournament week, they run it like the 3rd to the 10th. They got, go check it out. Drew's really, each stop just seems to get bigger and better. And Drew has spent a lot of time in putting this all together, and I think his hard work is really paying off. So also shout out to Josh Schranko. He was on the podcast recently. You can go and check out the kayakadventureseries.com. They always have these cool recaps, but so Josh Franco is the bronze master, as they say. He has successfully won that series out there, which was down in, I believe it was in St. Cloud, Minnesota. So Go check it out, kayakadventureseries.com. You get all your info there. Check them out on Facebook, Instagram, whatnot. But yeah, big shout out to Mr. Josh Franco for being the winner of that. Also on to the next. Don't forget Dubro Fishing. Dubro Fishing once again is taking care of its listeners here. And yes, you can use the promo code, which is the listener code, which is RRUN10, all capitals, and save 10% at checkout. Don't forget Jackson Kayaks. Jackson Kayaks has a phenomenal lineup of kayaks, both whitewater and freshwater. And don't forget to go check them out on Facebook because they're always posting up some sweet pictures. You'd be surprised. Some of that content is actually Canadian content, which is super cool to see. So keep looking out what Jackson Kayaks is up to. Hard Knocks Kayak Fishing. Go check them out. If you're in Southern Ontario, check these guys out. They're just like a fun meetup. You know that you know it. Like it's just show up, have fun. You're probably gonna win a couple prizes. So yeah, check out Hard Knocks Kayak Fishing on the Instagram, and it's also on Facebook. Paddle and Fin. This is what holds my whole podcast together. Paddle and Fin, check them out if you're not already checking out any of the other shows on this. We got shows coming out just about every week, and at the same time, YouTube, Instagram, you name it. Also on Facebook. Go check out the Facebook page. It's always interactive. But yeah, there's always something there for all of listeners. And if you're into, saltwater, you're into just, talking tournaments, or you just want to talk about river fishing, come on down. And don't forget the one and only YakAttack USA. So ICAST has passed, and they've really unloaded a large amount of new products into the lineup. So yeah, go check them out. YakAttack is they're truly rigging the dream, and they've come out with some really neat stuff. I don't want to dive too much into this, only because my guest tonight, Mr. Wade Clements, is coming on the show. So dude, what's up? Welcome to the show.
Hey Adam, how you doing, buddy?
Good, man. Good. I am like I gotta say, like it's fantastic to have you on. Thank you once again for coming on the podcast. You were on season 1, which was super cool, and then we kind of got talking about you coming back on, and maybe going into your own segment with this. And I think this is really cool. I got to give it to you. You kind of did come up with the name "A River Runs Through It."
Well, it's not that original, but it sounds cool.
And it does.
Get sued.
Yeah, at where we're at right now, I think we're going to be a-okay. No, I think that with this segment, this is really neat because you first and foremost have taken on a newer role with YakAttack. You have also you're a camera guy. You're in front of the camera, so you're constantly developing product content. You're out on the water. We see you in the kayaks, we see you at the shows, and then now you're beginning to travel across the country. You even made a stop in Canada, which was that your first time?
That was my first time in Canada.
Dude, that is so cool. So can I ask you, like, what were your thoughts? Like, I got to dive into this a little bit.
Well, I mean, it was beautiful. The location we were at, I mean, you cannot ask for a more beautiful place, on this earth. I mean, I'm not well traveled. I've gotten to get around, to a lot of cool places over the last couple of years, just through YakAttack. But that was leaps and bounds above anything I've ever seen.
Really?
I mean, the air travel getting there was terrible. I will say, WestJet needs to step it up. Stranded, for 36 hours. In airports. We got to Calgary, and it's not all their fault. I mean, the G7 summit was coming through, and Air Force One landed in Calgary, right before we were supposed to. So they shut the airport down. So we circled the airport for like another hour and 30 minutes before we landed, and then Flight was delayed and then inevitably canceled. I was hanging out with Jeff and Paul from the Aggressively Average Anglers. Met them there, and they immediately got their hotel voucher, their food vouchers, and their updated travel info. I didn't get anything. So I was like, no, I'm staying here. They were like, no, come to the hotel and just hang with us. And I'm like, no, I'm going to stay here at the hotel. When this, desk opens up again at 3 a.m., I'm going to be standing there waiting. And literally, as soon as they turn the computers back on, I got my updates. So, but yeah, just a very long time in a hotel. We missed a whole day of the trip. But we finally got there. And again, it was insanely gorgeous. It was quite a 4 or 5 hour ride there, with at least 2.5 hours of that ride down a logging road, a gravel logging road to get to the ferry. So no cell phone service, nothing. And, until we got there, and the lodge owner picked us up in the boat and took us out there. And it's I told somebody else, it's like if Appalachia was flooded by salt water, like that's what it would. That's the only way I can describe it. Just these beautiful old growth mountains covered in trees, surrounded by the ocean.
Yeah. It's like British Columbia is really a gorgeous province. Just not only for its mountains, but when you get out to the coast and you actually like see the Pacific, and then you get on to like Vancouver Island, or known as Victoria, it is quite an experience to be out there and to like actually just look out to the Pacific and be like, and you can see all these little islands out there. But then till really, some spots you look out and it's like it goes for miles. Like it's just blue for miles. And yeah, it really does have like such a scenic point where it's you look up and it's just mountains and trees. You know what I mean? Like you are this big in the spectrum of things, and even the wildlife is beautiful out there, and the fishing too, right? Like it's a lot of people come from all over the world to really just go and fish in and around the Vancouver Island, Victoria. And so yeah, no, like that had to be like an experience, coming from Virginia, where that probably looked a little different. You know what I mean?
It didn't, like I said, it didn't look too different. Kind of halfway where I am in Central Virginia, halfway to the ocean, halfway to the mountains. You just merge the two, really. But again, it was insanely beautiful. I got some really awesome pictures, with the camera, and it almost looks like the backgrounds are AI generated. One of the days that we were out there, it was heavy overcast, so the lighting was great, and it was just I'll never take better pictures anywhere else. I don't think it was gorgeous, but the fish were ugly. They were fun to catch. The fish were ugly. Scenery gorgeous.
Yeah. So, it's funny you mentioned about the fish part, because when you say that, it's very true that you're catching, like, so you're a river angler. You usually run smallmouth, and now you're going out there and like, what are you guys catching? Like, are you guys going on the salmon run? Halibut? Like.
No, the salmon weren't quite there yet. We didn't have any luck, really. I don't think anybody did from kayaks. I got out in the big boat one day, and I got one on, ended up losing it. He took a big jump and got off on me. But mostly it was lingcod, ton of lingcod, rockfish. I caught a few flounder, cabezon, something I didn't even know existed until I caught one. But I was really after, yes, there's that one lingcod there. And that's small compared to what came out of that place that week. That's 26 inches on the nose. But the cabezon is even crazier looking fish. I went out hoping for a big halibut. Like I just wanted that big halibut blanket to pull up into the kayak. Nobody hooked up with a halibut, unfortunately. Even the lodge owners were pretty surprised with it. But they were greenling and just learned so many new fish species out there. But like you said, I mean, we went out, for anywhere from 11 to 13-hour days. And, we got pretty far out one of the days that I was out there. And you can still see these little mountains popping up in the distance. I mean, you feel like you're enclosed, but when, you're a mile from this direction and 2 miles from this direction, you're out there. But again, it was beautiful out there. First time in a Vibe kayak out there in the little 10-foot Makana, and was very pleased out there in that boat doing what we did out there in it.
And that was your first time using the Vibe kayaks, right? Like, is that what they had there for you guys, or was that something you guys brought?
No, so the whole thing was organized by Kayak Angler Magazine, Keith at Kayak Angler Magazine. He's actually in British Columbia. He's from Revelstoke, another gorgeous place I hope to visit one day. Just talking to this guy when he's in his little outdoor, studio, I guess, whatever you want to call it. I mean, cool. You see the mountains in the background, the Columbia River's not too far away. Just a beautiful place. But he'd gotten in connection with these guys and ended up, just networking the whole thing. He's one of the nicest guys and best networkers I think I've ever met. So he pulled in Vibe Kayaks as the kayak company, Bigsby Motors, and YakAttack as the gear sponsor. And then on top of that, a bunch of different YouTubers and other influencers in there. So I mean, we had like 14 guys out there just having a ball.
Like, that has to be some good laughs, on the water and off the water, and conversation, and just all these different walks of life coming together that share the same passion at the end of the day, but like coming from all different, ends, of, you have Canada and the United States, coming up to go and fish. And I'm sure for probably more than half of them, that had to be their first time probably being out there.
Yeah, I mean, we had people from all over the country. I think, as the crow flies, I might have been the farthest in Central Virginia. The average anglers, they came from Michigan, and some guys from California, and Austin Hoover from Alabama, Darren Wendell, I think, is Ohio. So just people from all over the place. Marty Hughes, he's in the Midwest. Nebraska, I believe. Marty Hughes. So yeah, just people from all over the country getting together and making some, I think, some lifelong bonds out there.
And at the same time, you talk about influencers, YouTubers, and whatnot. They come together. Like, that has to be kind of a unique experience too, because a lot of times these guys are like, they're constantly filming themselves. They're constantly. There's a camera going, or there's a phone going. There's always that, I'm in the spotlight. I'm like, so how was that?
I mean, like I said, again, it was fun. I mean, to watch the content, just the cameras on everybody. I think one of the coolest things, I actually, we were limited on a few of the kayaks. So I did a half day Wednesday and traded with one of the guys from Vibe, their designer, Matt. But the other guys, they were out pretty far, and they actually had I believe it was a humpback whale blow up right beside Paul from the Aggressively Average Anglers, and everybody had their cameras on them, and so nobody actually caught the whale. But you have all these influencers out there with the cameras on, so you get all the reactions.
Yes,
at one time to this. So that was a cool thing, seeing all that. But yeah, I used that opportunity that Wednesday, using up the internet time that I had. They had Wi-Fi there, but obviously there's zero cell phone service. There's nothing. Good luck. And internet worked great that day that I was there by myself. But when you filled that house with, a dozen, YouTubers, a dozen influencers and content creators, like it was not good at night when everybody was there.
Wow. So your first, you get there, and so the way that you probably fish on the river compared to how you do saltwater fishing, there's a lot more depth, right? Like
Yeah, I would
you're
say.
you know, and it's a lot different than that river that you might flow through in Virginia to this big wide open, ocean that you're fishing on.
Yeah.
And the depths are probably just absolutely retarded on how deep it goes to sometimes, and then just finding those fish within the column to where they need to be.
We were fishing bottom for most all of these fish. I mean,
Okay.
and deep for me is 5 to 6 feet. All right. We were out there. Chad Gearlick, hook up baits. He's part of the USA saltwater kayak fishing team. He had Navionics on his phone, so we all just kind of followed around, just as trained behind Chad, picking out all these points. So I mean, again, like I said, it's mountains, but under the ocean, 1 minute we're on top of this point fishing 30 feet, and then it's 60 feet down to 100 feet. And we were basically jigging bottom basically most of the whole time for a lot of those fish that we were catching, and using primarily Chad's, hookup baits. They're these funny looking little things. And I mean, he told us they would catch, and I was like, all right, we'll see. And they caught fish. I'm telling you. They kind of resemble a squid almost.
Okay.
But Gibbs Fishing, a Canadian company, distributor out that way, they hooked us up with a ton of stuff. So the jigging spoons, they provided those, caught fish really well also. But I mean, I caught all mine on the hookup baits.
Now, like, it's funny you talk about these baits, because when I lived in British Columbia, so I grew up, mostly my high school years, I was out in British Columbia, and I did go fishing on the Pacific Ocean. I've done the salmon and whatnot, but I did want to say, you'd be surprised how many squid baits there are out there. And I remember going to like a gas station before fishing, and it was just like, when you go down to your local tackle shop and they've got, all of the worms, and they got all the lizards and the frogs, and it was just like an array of squid. And it was like squid baits, or like it was like little crab baits, or like little shrimp looking baits. And it was so neat to see that, when later on, because I didn't fish as much as I did now. And then I look at that now and I think to myself, I'm like, well, I would really like to go back out there, and like, I would like to go, catch, because I remember watching you guys' content as it was coming up, and I'm like, man, that would be cool. Like, I'm like, I could have done that. You know what I mean? Like, and I have family members that love to fish out off the Vancouver Island. And I'm telling you, like, my Uncle Victor, he's always, sending photos of these massive salmon that they're catching in the runs. And it's huge. Like, it is such a huge thing. And it's super cool to see that now. And I think it's really neat too, that like you get to kind of share this experience, because at the same time, for me, that was like, I'm very familiar with that whole area, where you were and whatnot. So yeah, no, that's cool. That's really neat.
Yeah, so kayak fishing is actually kind of new to that area. I mean, there's obviously boats all through there all the time. But the Sea Otter Lodge there in Kayak, they're the first official, kayak fishing destination lodge, in that area. I mean, before us, I mean, it was Keith from Kayak Angler, just going out there and checking stuff out in his kayak. But we were the first like big group to ever go out there in kayaks and do that.
I'm sure you guys inspired a lot of people, and I'm sure there's a lot of like local people too who probably saw you all going in and being like,
Yeah, I had a guy come by in the boat with a bunch of kids. I mean, kind of rolling up on me, and I'm like, "Oh, what's going on?" And he was like, "Yeah, the kids just wanted to see the pedal kayak. They'd never seen one before."
And that had to be, something different for them to see, because when you think about it, like, everybody thinks as a kayak, and maybe out there they see more of sea kayaks. You know what I mean? They'll see people who are, portaging, and to go and look and see a kayak that's like completely like in a sense open, sit on top with a pedal drive in it.
Yeah,
That would be kind of neat to see,
Yeah,
that would
I
be
think
like,
they're going to get used to seeing them out there now.
But not just to see it like that, but to see it in the sense where it's like, is that even safe? Like, we sit in, you go in a sea kayak, you sit in it, you got, the big skirt that comes around, you're very, it's meant for tracking water that way, where, a lot of these fishing kayaks, they're much wider, there's not a lot of, this flat in the sense. And so that's kind of interesting to, also see that, vibe, and they have quite a lineup of kayaks, also pedal drives, paddles, and whatnot. That is, that's cool. That's really, who knows what that will bring to that actual community, and at the same time what that will entail for people who are like, actually I do kayak and I've always thought about fishing off of it, but like maybe, I seen him do it, well, I could definitely do it.
Yeah. And these weren't naked boats either. I mean, they were rigged down, black packs, track packs, Panfish Pro camera mounts and rotogrip phone holders, cushions, like you name it. These things they're rigged to the gills.
Yeah, and I remember when the clips started coming out on Instagram, and I could see you guys, and yeah, like those kayaks were definitely decked out. Like you guys went there with YakAttack's like whole warehouse, it looked like.
Yeah, I mean, we could have put a lot more on them, but we start off with the essentials. Half of everything.
So when you look at like these are like new adventures that you get to take on, you were also so we're gonna fly right over to you were up on the lower Niagara River.
Yeah, so this is the second year I've gotten to do that. Captain Frank Campbell out there, they've been putting together this riders event, this Niagara riders event for 20 some years. Some of the guys have been going, they've never missed one. Last year was our first invite to it, kind of as the kayakers, we're these lone kayakers out there. Old Town was the boat sponsor, the boat company that was out there. And so we did that. And that was probably my best trip of the year last year. Just getting to go up there. Excuse me, got a little something in my throat. But yeah, just getting to go up there and do that was incredible. Catching smallmouth, Great Lakes smallmouth, very different from the smallmouth that I'm used to. The skinny little, hard fighting river fish versus these football, like what people consider these football smallmouth. Yeah, fish with shoulders. But yeah, got to do that again in it was May. So I mean that's something I hope I get to continue doing, every year moving forward. This year, actually last year, as soon as we started posting about it, our mutual friend Jay Brown reached out and he was like, "Man, you're in my neck of the woods. I wish I knew." And I was like, "Me too." So I made sure as soon as the plans were set in stone that I reached out to Jay this year to make sure he could come out there and fish with us one of the days we were out there, and we had a great time. Chuck Earls, who is no stranger to Lake Erie, was out there with us as well. So just had a good time, some good camaraderie, and we hope to continue. I mean, at least me and some of the other guys, hope to continue growing the. Sorry, I'm trying to keep my dog from knocking over the table here. But I hope to continue to grow that event for the kayak side. A lot of the guys, they go up there and they're in the big boats, center console boats, and they're doing their thing, and we're out there. It takes us all day to get somewhere and get in the water, and all. I mean, that's just what kayak fishing is. But just having that connection to the water, it's incredible, and it's one of the most, again, another very beautiful place. The color of the water up there is like nothing I've ever seen. Just that beautiful bluish emerald green, and you can see down. You can watch fish swim away from you down like 8 feet. Nothing like the rivers we're used to. But the lower Niagara, I mean, that's hard to consider that a river, considering what I'm used to. You know, there's the flow out there is incredible. That's about the only time I've ever run it is the only time I've ever run a depth finder, a fish finder in a river. And so we're fishing off the bank, and it's 16 foot deep already.
Yeah.
And you kind of drift out, and it turns to 30, and the weather wasn't cooperating. So what a lot of the other big boats were doing, they motor up into the current, they drift out and just cast, the whole time drifting out, and they would just do it over and over. So I'm like, let me try this. So I do it, and I start drifting out, and I look over at the graph, and it's 40 foot. And my back was to the bank. I wasn't watching where I was going. And I start seeing, this crazy current forming around me, whirlpools and the vortexes and stuff forming. I look back at the graph, and it's over 100 foot. And again, vortexes the size of the kayak are forming over here. So I motored back out of the way pretty quick and got as close to shore as I could. That's one of the eeriest feelings I think I've ever had. I've never been in, that was my first time in 100 foot of water.
Especially when it begins to change up on you like that, like you all of a sudden it's just like I've encountered that on the St. Lawrence, and it's not a nice feeling. And you're kind of like, okay, which way am I going to go here? Like you're trying to get out of it, but at the same time, it's everything's beginning to move around you. Yeah, that is okay. So hold on here. So generally, you don't fish with a fish finder.
There's no need in the rivers that I'm used to. I mean, it's a foot to 2 foot. The occasional holes that are anywhere from 3, maybe 8. But yeah, most of the time, I mean, it's below your knee.
Yeah.
In a lot of my Virginia rivers, the mountainous rivers that I like to be in. So yeah, we don't have. I mean, there are places, obviously, but. I mean, a lot of those types of rivers, I mean, you got to find a hole to get that deep. Otherwise, I mean, you're dragging in places.
So once again, this is kind of like a newer experience in that sense that, you've come up again to this Lower Niagara, and yeah, like it's interesting when you start to go from fishing like these small tributaries where, these fish are, you're casting into this the ripples, or you're finding the eddies, the shade lines, you're putting baits underneath trees and overhanging branches and whatnot, and then you get into this big wide open river, and you're got once again good depth, and now you're fighting this current, you're trying to keep your bait down there, and yeah, you can see these fish swim down because of that nice greenish bluish tinge to the water. That's a new experience. Oh,
absolutely. I mean, that's the only place that I go and throw a jerk bait all day long. We're this Row is one of the sponsors there for that event every year, and so they bring up, I have to say, just a box of the mixed stick, the deep diving crankbaits that are diving 9 to 12 feet. And that's how we're catching them. You load it up that first time and get a few rips in there and hope something jumps on it. Again, I'm usually beating the bank under tree branches and under those root balls in the shade, throwing top water, waiting for that blow up in 1.5 foot of water.
See, like it's with all new experiences, and yet you're taking, like, it just goes to show you, no matter how you fish, you're usually going back to some way that how to fish. You're talking about, throw jerk bait, but it's the YakAttack gear that you bring with you. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't really change too much between hitting the river and, hitting the Lower Niagara opposed to the, New River or the James River. The gear still is all like you're kind of leaving home with the same gear,
Yeah, I mean a lot of the gear. I mean, the setup might look a little different from time to time. Whether up there in Niagara, I was in an Old Town Autopilot or a PDL 120, and so I've got something in the middle. where I'm used to having, my one track pack that I'm pulling out of all day or something like that. But the gear is the same. The setup might look different, but the gear transfers and works for everything. I mean, always a black pack. I mean, I don't know how you go anywhere in a kayak without a black pack behind you.
It is a very handy pack to have, and it's several sizes, I would say, are accommodating to all types of kayaks. So for those who want to go out with, everything in the kitchen sink, you got the larger pack, and to the guys who might want to just go out with, the just very basic size, your 13, taking more of a minimalist approach to fishing. But yeah, no, I would say, if you were to get into kayak fishing, the black pack is probably one thing that if you're not going to just store tackle in it, you can store just about anything you need to give yourself more room, less tripping space, and have just a little more organization on your kayak and make it for a better experience out on the water. That's
right. And make it yours. But I mean, the black pack is the first thing that I decide on any kayak build. I personally rarely ever use the 16-16. I don't take that much tackle. I mean, I know there's a place for it. I mean, tournament anglers, you want everything because you never know what's going to happen. And when money's on the line, you want to be ready for it. 12 rods, you name it. But I tend personally to be in between the 13-16 or even a 13-13. If I'm doing my own thing and just out there to enjoy it myself, I'm going to run that 13-13 with 2 rod holders and maybe an Omega Pro or 2 for any extra rods. But I like to keep it small. But again, it's, with the invention of the track pack and just the storage trays, the half depth trays in there. I've emptied all my Plano boxes, all the other tackle boxes, and everything's in there. So I can pull out the one that I need, snap it in front of me. It's there all day. It's not going anywhere. And so there might be a few extra things in that black pack, along with my just that little, small little lunch cooler and full of boiled eggs. That's the go-to river snack, man. It's high in protein.
Yeah, I'm all about tuna. So I like my tuna with olive oil, and then I usually do either pretzel crackers to go with it, which is like a half pretzel, half cracker, or I use a salad mix or with beets, and that is my go-to lunch on the river. I think I actually made a post about it at one point too.
For that though, don't you?
Well, I do have one of those cool forks that, like, it could be a spoon and the other end's a fork, so I use that. I don't necessarily need to eat with my fish fingers. So
that's boiled eggs and beef jerky for me. But I think the funniest
beef jerky.
Oh yeah, beef jerky all day. But I think the funniest ever was Jeff Little fishing with him out in Tennessee one time, and it's basically like the baby food pouches, where it's the pureed carrot and beet and whatever. And the funniest line ever is he said, I don't have time to chew. I have fish to catch. So he just gets his protein, gets his sustenance, and gets that next cast in.
So Jeff, I would definitely say, I think he actually made a YouTube video about that and all of his pouches. And yeah, they are legit those, I don't know what they're called though, like squishies or something like that.
Yeah.
And it is pureed fruit, vegetable. It's a meal. I remember my kids, it's like applesauce in a little bag,
He doesn't waste any time eating.
I won't lie. I have done the same. I have gone out there and I'm like, yeah, I bought a bunch and I was like, yeah, some of them, I'd be honest with you, I was like, this is absolutely disgusting. And then other ones I was like, yeah, I like this. This is actually pretty good. But to be honest with you, like when you think of like kayak, like when you're out on the river, you're out in the lake and you're going for the day, when you start adding a lunchbox behind you that's loaded with, everything and anything, it's more weight for you. Bring more weight, you either have to pedal more weight, you have to paddle more weight. Therefore, you are burning more calories.
Yeah.
And the way you conserve energy is keeping, keeping that furnace, something in the furnace to burn. But I honestly think his approach with lighter, a lighter approach, and obviously staying hydrated, like hydration is definitely key, especially in the dog days of summer when it's ultra hot out there.
Oh yeah.
Don't forget to drink water. But yeah, like I totally like that approach, and that's kind of why I went with these small cans of tuna, because I was like, yeah, I can make a big tuna sandwich and whatnot, but I'm like, I take a small can, and I'm like, yeah, there's a bag of beef jerky is always in my kayak, and it's usually the jalapeno one.
There you go. I like the peppered, the Jack Link's peppered one, but
Ooh,
I mean, my secret to keeping that as minimal as possible is freezing water bottles the night before. Like they go into the cooler as ice packs to keep all the other stuff cool throughout the day, and by the end of the day, when my water jug is empty, I can pound that thawed out water bottle as well. So
yeah, I'll even take
like this, I not so much in the fall, but
so what I do with mine is I'll take my water bottles and I'll fill them half up with water, and then I'll use like a bottle of Gatorade and I pour half into it and I pour half into the other one, shake them up, I put them in the freezer. And then by the end of the day, when I'm like, you know what, I'm tired of drinking water and I just want a little something that has a little sweetness to it, same thing. I know both of those are pretty well thought out at this point. Electrolytes back in the game. And my one other favorite snack to bring out there on the river is the Cliff Bars.
Ooh.
You don't like Cliff Bars?
I don't think I like any of those protein bars. I've eaten plenty of them.
They're like
but
they're more of an energy bar than they are protein bar. But
yeah. I mean, from the Cliff Bars to even the generic ones, like the Food Lion brand or whatever, yeah. I don't think I like any of them. I mean, I've eaten plenty just for the sustenance and the protein and all, but not a big fan.
I eat one every day on my last break at work, and if Cliff Bar is listening, I will take on any sponsorship you want to give to a guy in a kayak about Cliff Bars. So, no, I'm just kidding though. I love Cliff Bars. But yeah, I always like to pack like snacks that don't take up a lot of room. Like I remember going kayaking with one person and they started whipping out like a pizza.
I've done leftover pizza. I've done that.
Sure.
When I first started doing this, my son and I would go out almost all the time together. He's gotten older. He's doing his own thing now. But it was the pizza Lunchables. Like that was the go-to years ago. But
my kids love those.
But again, now it's as simple as possible. I mean, I can pop that boiled egg and soak them in salt, pepper, and hot sauce, and just bust one of those eggs and go right back to casting.
I used to be a hard-boiled egg guy all the time, and I don't like. I will not eat the yolk. Just putting that out there.
I was about to say soft-boiled.
Like no, I want
that yolk where it's not maybe not so much runny, but it's jammy.
Yeah,
and not all dried up like that. That's where I like it.
I think it's because when I was a kid, when I lived in Germany, we had these like little eggs, hard-boiled eggs, and we would have them for breakfast, and they were in a cup or like an egg bowl or egg holder. And I remember sitting there and I'd have to like eat this hard-boiled egg every morning. And I don't know, I never could just do the yolk part. In the end, I just decided. So when I did hard-boiled eggs, I did not eat the yolk. I just ate the egg white.
Oh, wow.
But salt and pepper on it, definitely, for sure. And the hot sauce, oh, yeah.
I'll have to start another segment then, kayak cuisine.
I don't know if you're interested. We could always go down that route. Like, what do you bring? And we want to know what you bring on the river. What's your favorite lunch? Like that's always a fun one to add. But no, I do think it is good to actually bring some food out with you.
You got to eat for sure. I mean,
You
sometimes I
can't just
forget.
fish.
Sometimes I forget and I'll be hungry, but that spot right there looks too fishy. So I got to get those 3 casts in while I'm floating by, and keep on moving on. And then the next spot looks even better. And so I mean, every cast counts. So again, that's why I like to keep it as simple as possible. I like longer floats. We don't stop often. If I stop for a while, it's just so a buddy or two can catch up, and then we just continue down and spread out again. But yeah, I don't stop to eat very often.
See, like this year, like the river's been really low. Like I actually got back out on the river where I had my accident. And when I got back out there, I was like blown away, like how low the river was. And I actually spent most of my day waiting it and just kind of walking through with my kayak behind me. And, I gotta say, like it was nice, like it was nice to go back in there. But I remember standing there and having lunch, and I was just like, I had my black pack there, and I just like, took everything out and put it on top, and I was just kind of standing there in the middle of the river being like, eating and just like taking in the scenery. It was a great lunch.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned your accident, man. I know. I mean, well, I guess first off, you believe it's been a year basically since we it was early August when we did our first podcast. You were actually my very first podcast ever. So it's been a year since then. We've stayed in touch, and ever since your accident, man, I have not looked at trees along the riverbank the same way.
Oh, dude.
I mean, it's always, I've told you, you've always had that thought in the back of your head floating under some sketchy trees.
Oh, yeah.
But even after all the floods that came through the South back in September, that really destroyed a lot of North Carolina and the Appalachian area flowing out of the mountains. I mean, you see big trees that are washed up hanging on these tree branches now. It looks crazier than it ever did. I mean, what I'm seeing, I don't know if everybody else is seeing the same thing in their areas, but I see a lot of sketchier things just where these big trees have been washed, up into the shoreline and the riverbanks and suspended from other trees. And man, I think about you every time I'm out there.
Well, and even my approach now on the river is a lot different than what it was before. It hasn't changed my passion to chase river smallmouth, but there's a lot of times where I'm like a lot more vigilant on the sense that I'm like, I'm not gonna hang out here too long. You know what I mean? Like,
right. One cast, just one cast.
And it's funny you say that, because the actual spot where the tree hit me, when I went back there, the tree wasn't in the water anymore. And I was like, and the water was low. So I saw, like, I could see everything. I even kind of looked around for my Kayak Adventure Series hat, and I didn't see it. But I'll tell you this. That day I flowed back down the river, and I went to another spot. Like I headed east on this river, and I'm pretty sure I seen the tree, and it was washed up on the bank, tucked into another set of trees, one that was kind of hanging over too. But you could see it had lodged itself, most likely in the spring thaw, where, when the river level kind of gets blown out and all the runoff, and that thing flowed like a few miles down the river before it. And I don't know if that's the exact tree. I feel like it is. It's hard to really say, because that day when I left it, and I was not in the, I wasn't really paying all that much attention to what the tree looked like.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But you know what I mean? Like, I was like, I'm pretty sure that's the tree. Like, and it makes sense too, because it would have flowed and hugged the the north side of the bank and stuck with it. But like I said, I'm not 100%, but I was like, man, that thing really does look familiar. But yeah, no, always like, oh man, I can't tell you how many people I stress this to. Like, just take that moment to like really look at where you're standing. It doesn't. Mother Nature is not like gonna go tap you on the back of the shoulder or let you know that this is happening. Like it's going to happen, and if you're in line with it, yeah, it's not a very fun experience. And yeah, so, but no, like it felt good to get out on the river for sure. And I remember that day. I think we were chatting that week prior to it or whatnot. And then I didn't have a very successful day on the river. I had a couple little guys, and then I ended up catching on like my third cast with a 6 cents trace, which is like a 5-inch jointed like a glide bait.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like casting this thing, not even really paying attention. I was just like, I was so happy to be out there after all these literally after all these months. Like it was like last October my season was done, and I did not get out back onto the water until July 1st. So I was out there, I was just casting away. It was and I was just looking for these deep pools, and whenever I had the chance, I would put this glide bait in there, and all of a sudden the smallmouth hits it, and I tell you, it was just like a fire lit inside me. Like it was just so much fun. And of course I lost this fish like right at the kayak. Like he came jumping in, smashing, and then he just hit the boat, and it was just like,
yeah,
lure goes one way, because I could see that he had only hooked it, like he swiped at it, and he took a treble hook to the gill line there, and you could just see he was like, he all he had to do was just hit it one more time, and that thing was going to pop out. But it was just like a little reminder, like, hey, we're still here, like we're still in the river, so it was cool. And I feel like that fish was probably like a 17, 18 that hit it. But that was actually, like, for me, that was like probably the first fish I think that actually took my 6 cents trace, like a smallmouth. Like I've had a largemouth hit it, I've had pike hit it, but I'm in that river, I just never really had a lot of success with it. And it was cool, like just feeling and I was just reeling it, like just slowly reeling it, and all of a sudden it was just like something just came fighting in. Like I had to knock it and take it out, and that's what it did. It was cool.
I'm so happy. I mean, it's awesome seeing you get back out there for sure. But I kind of feel you with just the struggle there. I don't know if it's me, but we've got a lot of rain this year. Seems like almost every time I go out, the water's high, and it's been a little bit of a struggle. And then just between the traveling, trying to get out and do what I want to do. I mean, I got to fish British Columbia for a week out there, and then Niagara for a week. But basically, since March, I've been gone for a week somewhere every month. It was Wisconsin, but that was for, the Canoecopia show with Rutabaga Paddle Sports. And then I went and did boat building seminars in Maine in April. But I went on a 7-week run where I didn't get to go fishing, the way I like to fish, hit my local river. Last year I had a great year, caught a bunch of 20s, and right now I don't think I haven't broke 19. The first trip of the year I got an 18, but I only caught 3 fish that day. And then the very next trip I got 6, and I think biggest was 16 or 17. And I've got a few more 18s. One I think in Niagara was 18 3/4. But yeah, haven't crested that 19 yet. I'm I want some more 20s. I like decorating the wall with those certificates. Yeah.
Those citations, as we all know.
As we call them down here. The citation. They'd actually call it that anymore.
Oh.
I know your conversation with
Troy. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's what it was when I was young, and same for him. That's what it was growing up as kids. But I mean, they've changed it. It's just so ingrained into your brain. We still call it that.
I think they should just leave it that. I like citations. It's like I think of it when citation, and of course Troy is always out there hammering those rivers in Virginia, and he is I think he's like, what is he like? He's got to be over 100 now, isn't he?
He caught his 100th a couple weeks ago. I mean, he's always hammering them, of course. Last year I know he hit it hard at his goal for 30 that he got. But I don't think I've only seen him catch 5 or 6 this year, which seems slow for him. I don't know. I see him working out a lot more than fishing here lately. If I can pick on him just a little bit,
He's definitely hitting the gym, isn't he?
I see more shirtless pics than fish pics, man. We want to see the fish pics, buddy.
Yeah. So Troy, like, can you tell us what's going on here? Are you trading smallmouth for dumbbells? Is this what's happening now? Like, workout secrets for smallmouth spots? Like, it might very well be. No, that's I like I said, like, I was out on the river. I went on a quick float one Sunday morning, and it was raining, dude. Like, torrential downpour. It was hard. And I literally grabbed, I was like, you know what, I'm grabbing my Pelican today, and I'm just gonna go out in that. I literally grabbed 2 rods, whatever else I needed, and I dragged this thing down the path to this new little spot that I found. I threw the kayak in there, jumped in, and I was throwing like an S-Pro rat and a fluke. And the third cast on the rat, boom, something hit it. And I was like, okay, cool. So then I had a couple misses. So I would throw the follow-up bait of the fluke in there, which was the scented jerk shad by Z-Man, just in like a white or whatever. And I wasn't getting anything on that. So I was like, okay. So I ended up tying on a small little crankbait, like a little craw crankbait. And I would cast that out, and I was blown away. Like, I found one pocket, and I'm not kidding. The lure hit the water, and like the thing just took it. And I was like, holy shit. Like, excuse my language, but what is going on here? And I cast out again, same thing. And then all of a sudden, boom. And I hit one that was 18. I think it was almost 18 and a half when I measured it. But I didn't actually bring my measuring board. I used my paddle, because my paddle has so I kind of like stuck him down on that, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm like, because I was like, man, maybe he's like a 19. I'm like, yeah, and then I'm like kind of holding him, and now he's got to be 18 and a half. But like, and he took like a 2, I want to say it was like a 2.5 inch little crankbait, and dominated the thing, like bent one of my hooks on me. I was like, okay. So I went home, changed those out real quick, because I don't want to lose any fish, and I also don't want to pin his mouth shut. But I haven't really broken any. Well, I guess the other my 2 big ones that I caught this year on when I went out fishing with Matt Gibson and Brian Schiller. We went out in Clayton, New York. So there's another place you need to come up to. And we were on the St. Lawrence, and I caught 2 that were like an ounce under 6 pounds. You know what I mean? Like, they were like mammoths, and I couldn't get over like just the sheer power of these things. Now, these things were probably over 20, but I never actually measured them because we were on a boat. So, it was kind of, that's more, some people would say, oh, it's a 21. Some people are like, no, like that's like an easy 20 right there. And, so, so I have those ones, but those are like unofficials. But like, it's been a cool experience, you know what I mean? Like, I had the opportunity the first time to go out on the river and fish with Brian Schiller, who, without Brian Schiller, we wouldn't really have paddle and fin. So, and Matt Gibson is also, historically been with Paddle and Fin. So it was really cool to meet up with those guys and go fish for a day.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
they had been up there all week. And so we were testing out, playing around with some Dubro baits and whatnot. And like, that was a lot of fun, just watching these fish. And like, actually I had never done flogging where you use that it looks like a pylon and you stick it in the water and you can
Oh yeah, like the can.
the can, the flogging, I think it's called. Anyways,
Yeah.
and you're like looking down, like, oh, there's a fish. And I remember I was like laying on the boat, and like Brian Schiller can attest to this. I was like looking at the flogger, the boat's going up and down, up and down, up and down, and I'm like trying to hold on, and I'm losing this fish. I can see it, and then it's like as we're drifting away. And I'm like, yeah. So we kind of come back and I drop the bait. And with one hand, I'm like, yeah. And I'm just kind of like, I can see my bait and I'm just kind of like, flickering it. And all of a sudden I gain its attention. And I flicker it again. He comes a little closer. Flick it again. He takes it. And then he kind of just does a little side turn with it. And I go to set it and he just spits it. So I get back down there, do the same thing. I'm watching it. And then all of a sudden it comes back. Yep, I'm taking it. Yep, boom, takes it. And I literally set the hook. And my hand was like middle of the rod, of the spinning rod. We were using some really awesome Douglas rods. And I'm pretty sure this is the X Matrix series spinning rod that they have. The 610 or 7.2 drop shot rod or whatever. Man, it was cool. Like I have never really set the hook while like kind of staring down the binoculars on something. I've always been, I'm standing up, I'm casting, I'm sitting in a kayak. I'm not really watching something like almost like a video game, like, come on, do, boop, got him,
like he's fishing.
I guess I was cheating at the same time,
No, that's cool, man. And I don't know if YakAttack would ever do something like that, but I mean, I would love, there are certain places, very different areas of the new Delph's Beach is this little spot, above the little town of Freeze. And I mean, there are places where it gets super deep in there and some nice clear days. I mean, you can see fish 8 foot down, just,
cool.
18s, 19s, 20s, just sitting there, just swimming together. And they're not eating, they're not touching anything. I mean, you throw a chatterbait, you throw a crank, jig. I mean, they don't care. But it's rare that I've ever come through there where it was that clear. We hit it in October, and I think it was just they were spooking really easy. I mean, the water was so clear, but most of the time, just a little bit of stain in that water, and you'd have no idea it was that deep or anything. Just to be able to get through that break in the water and maybe get a chance to see some of that going on, I think would be pretty awesome.
In all the years that I have fished the small rivers for river smallmouth, you get some that are like black, you get some that are really brown, you get some that have like more of a lighter, like a really dominant tiger pigmentation to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I had caught one on my last outing, and like when I say to people, like, these things are like camouflage, like, and I'm not kidding. I held this thing right beside a rock, and you wouldn't have never known that thing was there. It was just, it blended, like, color wise, it was like identical to the rock that was in the water right beside where I caught it.
Oh yeah, I mean they're an ambush predator. I mean that I usually try to target, along those banks, those shady spots where they're they're in there waiting to ambush. I mean, with the stripes and the colors really breaking up their body shape,
Like I wish I would have had like a better photo of that, and I didn't even think to take a photo in the end. Because I remember I was kind of taking the fish, I was just putting it back in the water because I was waiting at the time. And when I put my hand back down in the water, and it was like the rock was right there and the fish was there, and it was like, it's true. Like that's just what makes these fish so cool. It's just like how well they blend in. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah.
it's so neat. But yeah, like at the end of the day, you should definitely like if you ever want to come up and fish the St. Lawrence River and like
Oh,
to
I'd love
go
to.
in,
Is
to
that an
fish.
invite?
Of course, that's an invite. You know,
All right,
I'll even tell. All right, this we're gonna have to end this, guys. I gotta go get my fishing stuff ready. I gotta go pick up Wade at the airport, and you know, if anybody wants to just take this over
airport. No,
now.
I'm driving up with a kayak. I'll be there in 12 hours.
Well, I have 2 kayaks here, so I actually have 3 kayaks. So we could just, you know, you could save the kayak, save the drive, and just fly right up here, and you know, parachute over my house and down.
Likewise, I mean, you open invitation anytime you want to come down here and run some of these Virginia rivers. I mean,
You know,
weekend, middle of the week,
want to.
like we'll go.
Yeah,
And I mean, even better if we can get up to you know, to the spot on the new up there, and I mean, I'd love to take you to my favorite place in the world. I mean, it's what started me in kayak fishing, and it's,
I would like to see it.
The number one place I will go back to every single time.
You know,
we always try to get up there for 4th of July. I went up there for a little while, 4th of July, in the beginning. We were there for 3 days, you know, three full days. And the first day on the water, July 3rd, it was blown out completely. Just chocolate milk, you know.
That's a hard fish.
Yeah, just, you know, made a post, and, you know, people were like, oh, you should have thrown this and this. It's like, no, you don't understand. The water's moving so fast. You know, you cast in front of you and it's behind you by the time you get it up to the boat. I mean, it was just, and you're running into rocks, you know. So, I mean, I basically gave up on fishing and had an awesome whitewater run. And some of the wilder conditions, like I took lanes, I took lines through the rapids that don't even exist under normal water conditions, because there's rocks there that are in, you know, you can't pass them. So got to do it a little bit different, and just spent the day hanging out with my wife on the 4th of July, and then went back, hit it again, you know, that Saturday on the 5th, once everything had come down a little bit, and caught fish. I mean, it was still a little rough. I mean, I only caught 6 that day. Normally where I can go in there and anchor down above the rapid and fish that nice pool above the rapids, where they're up there, and then get below, you know, the rapids into the eddies and fish that stuff too. And I mean, a lot of times I can get in there and say, all right, I'm going to catch 5 fish here, and then I'm going to move. Then I'm going to catch 10 fish here, and then I'm going to move, and have a 25, you know, 30 fish day in that 4 miles of shoals. And I mean, I worked my butt off to get those 6 fish that day. But, you know, again, like I said, we've had a lot of rain, you know, that I guess they're pushed out, you know, it is what it is. But going back next week to get in there again for, you know, Monday through Friday, and hopefully I get at least one awesome day while I'm out there. Again, the way the weather's been, who knows? Who knows? It could be dry as crap all week long, or it could be, you know, it could be nice and shallow and fish the pools. But that spot up there, it's completely different from what I've learned over the past 12 years. After those floods came through there, I mean, they ripped sediment and sand from other areas of the river and then buried other spots downstream. So rocky. Hey, y'all stop. Dogs, man.
That's okay. I got one. He was barking earlier. I think somebody came to the door and he's like, wah, wah, wah.
But I mean, it literally changed the geography of the river. I mean, again, something that I've spent, you know, 12 years up there learning, to see it completely change and not even look the same, you know, the following year. I mean, areas again where it used to be rocks, and, you know, always see muskie in there, and, you know, some riffles and small rapids, to see it buried in sand and become just a flat stretch of river. It's pretty wild. My favorite area, the shoals, didn't change much. I mean, there's some new landmarks in there. You know, a couple of camper trailers that are out there now. I mean, I think a lot of people. I mean, one very viral video of a camper going over the freeze dam, but it was multiple. There's one 100 yards down from the dam, like the camper itself is gone. The only thing that you see is the trailer with the tires facing upward. They're all facing upwards because, the tires are what floated it.
Yeah.
So, there's one there just down from the dam. There's one right at the top of the shoals. And then there's another one right in the middle of the shoals. So that's one of the, I don't know how you'll ever get it out of there either. It's so remote down through there. I mean, the New River Trail borders it, but I mean, if you got in there with a wrench and took a piece out every day, it would take you weeks.
Yeah. I don't know how you'd approach that river cleanup, like that's.
Yeah. Well, when we went down there in October, like we filled a dumpster. I mean, they're awesome. I mean, some people I don't even know, I got a quick name, that day. But I mean, Dustin Hoy from Raccoon Creek Outfitters, Chuck Earls was already down in North Carolina with Luther cleaning up. He came up and met me there. Met me here, and we rode down together. But yeah, people came from all over. I mean, dozens of folks out there, and we filled one of those, construction sized dumpsters with the crap that we pulled out of there, just load after load after load.
That's why I always say, and I did it last year and I will do it again this year, is if you can remember your fishing rods and you can remember all your tackle, your water, your PFDs and whatnot, it takes one person, and all you got to do is put a black garbage bag or a clear garbage bag, or Chuck Earls started the bread bag challenge, which is another easy small bag that you can bring, put in your kayak, put it in your black pack. There's a lot of room for it. Put it in your track pack. You could put it anywhere. Put it in your pocket. And when you start to see crap on the river, garbage, Mountain Dew bottle, somebody's water bottle, wrappers, lures, line, it just takes one person to just stop. And if you have a leveraged landing net,
that works great too.
All you got to do is scoop it. I know Jeff Little does that. I do it myself. If I see anything floating down the river while I'm fishing, I scoop it up. It ends up. And I have been able to successfully fill garbage bags, and I'll take that garbage bag home with me if there are no garbages at my launch. But yeah, no, definitely river cleanup challenge. Like, do it. Tell us about it. I'm not saying, you have to, get recognized for what you do, but right. It's inspiring to see stuff like that, and taking that initiative, it grows, and positivity is like, just like fire. It spreads and people will do it. I know it started with Jeff and Jameson Redding, and they were one of those who made a video about doing a river cleanup challenge, and that inspired me. Two dudes that I look up to, and I was like, this is inspiring. Like, and yeah, you know what? It makes sense, because at the end of the day, like, I want my kids to be able to come here. I want my grandkids to be able to come here, and I want to give back to the river, because like, I'm a river angler. I am a river rat at heart. And
always,
that is my passion. Like, it's more than just a hobby. It's a lifestyle to me. And, taking care of, those resources is so important, like natural resources. And the river is like what gives us all peace. It gives us a chance to escape, the bearings of life. And at the end of the day, like, we should really give back. And maybe, I know when I had Chuck on the podcast, he's like, it's good karma, man. Like, it's not about getting recognized. It's just about good karma. And it's true. Like, I have so much respect for the river that I float, and I consistently, every time I'm out there, I'm always picking up garbage that's left behind by us humans. And and I really look back to even my accident, and I think there's just good karma that came from that. And maybe that's just a fish who decided to wake me up in the water that day, as it wasn't the river that was gonna fish kiss, But yeah, no, I definitely think like, it's good karma, and who knows, like you do something for the fish, you do something for the river, then maybe there's something that will shine, maybe a new personal best, or, a new experience out there. And, I think we can all do our part and take care of our rivers and lakes and launches, and use your YakAttack parts to, do it at the same time. Like leverage landing net is an easy scoop right there. You can keep your garbage bags and your black packs, track packs underneath your seat and the short stacks. It is all there, very simple to make and very effective in taking care of the problem that us humans keep leaving all this garbage here for.
People are awful sometimes. I hate nothing more than a litterer. You see it in the rivers. I mean, just even here, at my house, I have to walk the edge of the road and pick up trash before I get out there and cut grass. Like, I don't understand it.
I don't understand it either.
If you throw trash out your window going down the road, we can't be friends. It's just, we're not
100%.
the same. We're not
100%.
the same person. And I don't understand what goes through people's minds when that happens. Now, I mean, I've had something. I mean, I drive a soft top Jeep, with windows out and stuff like that. I've had something slip out that wasn't intentional. It happens. I get it, but to intentionally throw something out the window of your vehicle going down the road, or a beer can floating down the river, with your buddy, like, come on.
And
I know we're not here to bash people, but gosh,
no.
It's so frustrating.
And in the summertime, let's save the beer, for when you get off the water. Don't do it on the water. You're better off with some other stuff, and being responsible out there is very important. But I'll tell you this.
That's one of the biggest changes, I think, for me. I mean, I always had a few beers when I went out on the river back in the day.
Me too.
And, over the
100%.
last 5-6 years, it's the last thing on my mind, going out there. Just, I mean, I want to go out there with a clear head. I don't want to be sloppy and miss that good fish or something like that. I want to be on my A game. It's, it's like you're an athlete, an Olympic athlete. You want to go out there at your best and perform.
Cameron Haynes, he is a world-class bow hunter, ultra marathon runner. And this guy is, that's what he's this mindset too, is he wants to go out there and be the best that he can be. And he has a book called Endure. And if you're anybody who likes the outdoors, whether it's fishing, hunting, whatnot, I suggest you either listen to it on Audible, because I did, or you read it. It is very inspiring to outdoors people, and just watching and listening to his mindset, just to be a better hunter and just to have a more disciplined lifestyle and just being this positive individual. It's really inspiring. So I totally understand that. But at the same time, I'm completely guilty of going out there on the water and having beers as I was fishing many years ago. But now I don't dabble. So I like to I dabble with the water and Gatorade and keeping up the electrolytes. But I'm
not saying one is bad.
No,
I'm not saying that.
No, we're not saying that at all. We just want people to, enjoy their time out on the river, and at the same time, be responsible while you're out there.
When you're getting out of the kayak and forget how your legs work, then it's a problem.
Yeah, it is. So where does this where are you headed next in the world? So hold on here. We did we talked about going to Maine, Wisconsin, Lower Niagara, British Columbia. Then we led you to ICAST. And a week in Orlando, going through, which looked like a lot of work to get set up for. That looked like, I'm sure that probably wasn't just a free week in Orlando. Let's, go check out. That's probably a lot. That's a pretty big event, a lot of work for YakAttack, and probably a lot more work for you to take on and still be, in the spotlight of, content and having people come by the booth and whatnot. How, like, just, you seen like all the footage that came out from ICAST and all the new products that are coming through, which we can obviously, this is what's going to be kind of cool about this whole segment, is that this is going to be great for lives too, when we start taking on questions regarding YakAttack products, and we'll have definitely all sorts of approaches on whether you're rivering, lakes, just getting into it, tackle, organization. It is all there for you because YakAttack has the products for you, and the safety, nets, and oh god, I'm sure we could go down a rabbit hole on this one. But no, so ICAST, what are your thoughts and feelings on it this year?
Well, so I mean, I have a love-hate relationship with ICAST. It's a lot of work. It's a ton of work and so much more, prepping for what we originally put in a press release was, 50 some new products. But once it was all on paper, it was over 65. And there were even things in the booth that weren't on paper. The leverage landing net makeover and the orange latch kit, hinge and latch kits for the black pack. Like some of those weren't even on that list. So, I mean, it was a lot of stuff. So, I mean, obviously all the work going up to it, weeks in preparation, getting everything together, building a booth. And I mean, I'm not at all taking credit for that. I mean, we have an amazing team. Our master fabricator, Bullet Bob, helping build out the booth, and our graphic designer, Brandon, taking care of all the printing and everything that needed to be done. Revinyling those panels with new imagery and artwork. Joey, our senior designer and product manager, building the displays that you guys saw, designing the displays that you guys saw for the motor and everything. And just all around a huge team effort. But I think the biggest thing is at the show is it's that on camera, presence. I used to be able to split that up with John, and this year it was nonstop. I mean, Alex Rudd texted me, right after the show and was like, "Hey, I came by the booth a couple of times to talk to you, and you were just nonstop." I was like, "Dude, you could have interrupted me. You could have just said hi, for a second." But I mean, people were just waiting. Like they were lined up. But I mean, that's one of the blessings of the YakAttack booth. I'm not sure where the information actually came from, but the report that we were given, we were one of the top 3 busiest booths in the show, just for the amount of foot traffic that was constantly coming through in the groups of people. I mean, I tried to have the booth a little more open for walking space than it was last year, just so we weren't tripping over each other. And, I'd have to go out in the aisle and around the outside when I was doing the full booth walkthrough for people, because there was, a crowd here and a crowd there. Mm-hmm. And I mean, our reps, they were engaging with people, and our customer service team and our sales team and our pro staff guys were doing videos. I mean, it wasn't just me, it was nonstop, just. And as always, I mean, I lost my voice by Friday morning, so I sounded like one of the sisters from The Simpsons, one of Marge's Simpsons, talking like that on Friday, and it took a few days to get that back. But I mean, that always happens. But I brought a ton of new stuff this year. I mean, we got a little, little hate on some things, but. I'm a firm believer that there's enough room in this industry, in this space, to for more than one person to occupy a space. But I mean, from tools to kayak cleaning products, the new cart, the toe and stow wheelie bar was a huge hit. We introduced our first electric kayak motor.
That's cool.
A stepping stone to so much more that we have in store for that program. The drop shot anchor reel bring in a lot of new features to a product like that. That's one that I'm actually in the process of rigging a bona fide RVR, the riverboat. At the moment, that was kind of the video today that went out. But getting that thing souped up for my vacation next week,
Cool.
which I'm very much looking forward to. Again, iCast is always fun. The product stuff, it's nonstop excitement. You run all day long. You get up, you get there, and run nonstop until the end of the day, and then it's herding cats to just go get dinner so you can go to bed, and it never fails. It's 10,
Do
11.
it all over again.
Yeah, and then start it over every day. But I will always say, I will always go back for the people.
Oh, I'm sure.
All the people around the country that I talk to on a regular basis, whether it's on the phone or emails or even, Zoom calls, but getting all those people in one place for a week and being able to hang out and build on those relationships and friendships and, meet new people and create new friendships. You were talking about Josh Franco. I've been a fan of his and the Chegan brand and all that stuff. We watched your podcast with him when I was stuck in the airport, traveling to British Columbia, that week. So actually he came through the booth and I was like, I'm psyched to get to meet him in person finally. And, again, a bunch of other people. So it's the friendships, it's the people that will always be the best part of iCast, no matter what happens. But again, now that it's all over with, we're trying to play catch up and, launch some of the products that people saw. So busy with that now. Literally this week, trying to get all the assets together, white background photography and lifestyle photography to get the Command Center crossbar launched. So again, I'm taking off next week. So I've got a lot to do in the next couple of days to get all that done so I can go out and enjoy myself, because it'll be launching a day or two after I get home is the plan.
Now, that crossbar, that's pretty sick. It's once again, and it's cool. Like, I gotta say, I when I first saw it, I was like, I'm digging this. Like, I'm really digging it. But I was like, I was kind of surprised. Like, just, you don't have to give all the juice about the crossbar, but was that kind of something that you guys had kind of been in the works with for a while, or was that more of
well, and that's the one thing. I mean, some other people, other companies, they might beat us to market on certain products, but I promise you, YakAttack has been talking about it for years.
Yeah,
we've had prototypes for years. Like, you almost saw the anchor reel at iCast last year, but it wasn't quite ready. We showed the crossbar at iCast last year, but we put more work into it after we finished up with the surf carts, and it looks completely different, works a whole lot better, and solving the angle, the warpage issue. Maybe some of it's warpage and cooling, just how boats cool and everything. But gunnel on a kayak is perfectly flat or perfectly the same. Some canter outwards, some canter inwards. So building in that hinge system was huge and really separates it from anything else that's out there. But again, the stuff that you finally see from us, we've been kicking around for years. The kayak carts, our senior designer Joey, before those things launched, that was one of Joey's first projects. Working on that thing, and it got stuck to the side for the Blackpack Pro redo, which was 18 months of development before we even got back into the kayak cart. So we're always working, and just because you see this thing, it's not brand new. We don't come up with an idea, beat it around for a week, and then launch a product. We put time. We go through daily revisions and product reviews. We have 3D printers that run nonstop for rapid prototyping. We'll say, hey, we need to make a change here. We need to tweak this. They'll make prototypes. We'll put it together, get together and look at it and be like, okay, maybe that was a bad idea, or maybe it needs a little more here. And again, this goes on daily for months and months and months before people finally see that finished product. And then that's where all the innovation in the YakAttack stuff, I mean, that's what makes it so great. It's not just something pulled off the shelf, or a cookie cutter copy. We work at these things for a long time to really bring innovation and bring something different and special to the angling community. Otherwise, people don't see it.
And like I just had said, that it's the dedication not only to the customers but to the products that they put out. And I think YakAttack has that like on the down low. Like they really put the time and effort into it, and you don't just see that in the product, but you see in the way that you guys market these products, you know what I mean? And like the way that you present them. Like I think that says a lot about your customer service and whatnot. Like you guys are really genuinely are out there for kayak anglers. You're out there for your customer and those who share that same passion that you all do. You know what I mean? Whether you fish the river, the lakes, the ocean, you know what I mean? Like the surf, you're all out there for the same reason, and you all share the same passion.
Yeah, I mean, well, the angling community, the customers, I mean, they're the reason YakAttack is what it is after 15 years. I mean, they're, continued patronage and just support of what we do is the reason that YakAttack has been able to grow the way that it's grown, and they will always be our number one priority. Our retailers and the customers. I mean, that's who we're here. That's who we work for.
Now, just like any new product that comes out, there's that fun part where you get to go test it out. You're putting it out there, the content starts to flow and whatnot. And what not a better time, obviously, ICAST to have like, your pro staff members come on and, get these guys who are constantly creating content to show it, and talk about it. I think one product that I'm excited about through YakAttack is the drop shot anchor. Like to me, like as a river angler, I think that's really neat, and the idea behind it, and it's controlled that big reel that it has, and the way that it looks like you can mount it. Yeah, and the price point seems to be fairly reasonable at that sense too. But no, that's one product that I'm definitely going to be adding to my boats, because
I'll make sure of it then.
It's definitely, as a river angler, I have to say that for me, it's the anchor it's a key thing to have. Like if you don't, like, I don't have a motor and I don't always take my pedal drive out. So I do a lot of paddling because I love to paddle, and having that part where I can anchor down and just hang out for a little bit. Yeah, that's super handy. You know what I mean? And I run the older style, like one of the original Anchor Wizards on mine. It's a green one. Like it stands, like it's got to be like this tall off the thing, and you crank it, what I mean? I remember like those. Yeah. So, but so now in your adventures, where are you left to, like, what is your, till the next time we talk, like what do we got going on here?
Well, I mean, the YakAttack adventures, I think are done for the year. I did get a very cool offer for November, early December. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to coming up here again is getting on a vacation. I mean, I know it seems like some of these adventures, to British Columbia and Niagara were, basically that, but it was all content and work driven. you know, you get up early in the morning and you get out there and you kind of have a shot list and, you know, plans to do things. Like I have no plans next week. You know, I'm building out that Bonafide. I've got the Vibe Makana. I'm taking that back out with me. And then my go-to, you know, classic Bonafide SS107. But I'm taking those boats out there. The RVR is going to be the overbuild, really, you know, putting the new crossbar on it and trying to find ways to play with that and market that. I mean, if I don't use it and I don't understand it and actually like it, I mean, I can't talk about it. I mean, most of what John called it the Wade juice, but just as it, you know, it comes out, it's true, genuine passion for what we do.
And you can see it. That's what I mean. Like
about the products, but yeah, again, the anchor. I would love to take 2, but I don't know if we have the parts for that. You know, the molded parts that we got pre-ICAST. We built out 5 or 6. You know, sent one out with our sales guy. I left one with one of our team guys. There's a new kayak company getting started. I don't know if you've seen those guys, Camino Journey. Or Kajo, Cajo. They're getting a lot of traction. It's the former founder of Vibe started a new kayak thing. So I'm sending one out to him. So I might only end up with one on my RVR in time for me to leave. But still excited about that. I love the dual. I've never done dual anchors before and just dropped and sat.
Jeff Little does it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's big on that. He has many videos of both forward and rear anchoring. So, I'm for it. I'd like to try it, but I might only end up with one. But still, it'll be fun to get out there and really test that out. Again, just all the other stuff. I mean, from some of the tools, and so I'm going to be taking a lot of this new stuff out there and really hammer it hard. You know. As we do with anything before people get it in their hands. I mean, we want to make sure that it's as tested as possible. And I will promise you, people find ways to break things that we never ever imagined. Yes, sure. It happens sometimes. Customer service must hear great stories.
Oh yeah, our customer service team is fantastic. I'm through there every day. Talking with them and helping answer questions and, some light coaching, but they've got it. They have got it. They're awesome. They're experienced. They're good with people. And they really work hard to make sure people are satisfied as possible with everything. I mean, you're not going to call YakAttack and get a machine, press 1 for, service, press 2 for sales. No, You're going to get a person on the phone. Usually it's going to be Emily. And then Emily is going to transfer you to Emily.
Oh.
Funny story. You should do it and just mess with them one time.
Okay.
But we have Emily Hudson, who has worked with us for years. She's worked in production. She's worked in printing and moved up to the front office as our, administrative assistant up there. So she's usually the first line, the first person to answer that phone. And then we have, Kirsten, who's been with YakAttack for years, and Emily Regis, who is in customer service. And typically people, they get that as, hey, thank you for calling YakAttack. This is Emily. And they say what's going on. It's like, all right, I'm going to transfer you to customer service. And it's, hi, this is YakAttack. Thanks for calling YakAttack. This is Emily. And people are just kind of stunned there for a second. Emily? Or they think it's hilarious. But no, we have real people every day. I mean, it's that will always be the best part of YakAttack is the people.
When I come down, I would like to definitely check out the facility of YakAttack and all 100%. Just get to walk through the actual facility and the people that work there. It would be really neat to see. Oh, and it's not closed off. I mean, people pop in. It's like, all right, come on, let's go for a walk. Cool. That's awesome. Okay, so as we narrow down to the end of this podcast, I hope all you who are watching have enjoyed this. Those who will be listening, but yeah, this is something fun that Wade and I are going to start doing. And we're gonna have it. It's for you guys. So if you got questions, we'll take some time to answer some questions. But yeah, we're just here to talk about YakAttack. We're here to talk about life. We're here to just talk about what we're passionate about, and we're both passionate kayak anglers. We just happen to be river rats at the same time. But yeah, no, that's
two rambling river rats.
The rambling river rats. It should, a river runs through.
Well, I mean,
rambling river.
You're my brother from another motherland.
There you go.
Brother from another motherland. So,
brother from the other motherland. This is cool, and I would say we probably put. We talked about this. The year before. The season 2 came out, but it's kind of cool to actually sit down and do this, and so I hope you've all enjoyed it. And don't forget, make sure you do head over to YakAttack and check out all their new products that they have. And like you said, if you want to call Emily at customer service and you got questions for her, you're going to deal with the other Emily maybe, or you're not sure yet. She's not
one Emily to get to the other.
Yeah. But at the end of it, I just wanted to say thank you very much, Wade, for coming on, brother. This has always been fun. I really enjoyed it. And at the same time, like wherever your adventures take you next, and I hope you have a fantastic trip. But yeah, dude, enjoy that time. Go out on the water, chase those smallmouth, have some fun, relax, and till the next time, I can't wait to sit down and chat with you again and hear all the other stories, and God knows what we're going to get into on the next one.
Looking forward to it, man. Always a pleasure. Again, you were my first podcast. You popped my podcast cherry, and we've been, great friends, since then. And so it's always a pleasure to talk to you. I'm always excited to come on the River Run podcast. It's always rocking it.
Always. He's like my number one hat guy here. Like I have to say, like I remember the first time I was watching it, I'm going, oh my God, he's wearing the hat. Like, I can't say how many times I've seen a YakAttack video and I'm like, Wade is wearing the hat. Now I do want to say one thing before we end this. The Hawaiian the Hawaiian shirt, is YakAttack coming out with Hawaiian shirts? Because if they are, I would really like one.
No, I've actually been pushing that. Sorry, my dog is back in, about to take down the whole table.
That's okay.
It's a doodle. She thinks she's a lap dog.
Yeah.
There you go, just knocking stuff over. But no, I've been trying to push a black and orange Hawaiian shirt for a couple of years, actually, with like a nice little YakAttack patch right here on it.
Nice.
Trying to push it for ICAST, but nobody else is as excited about it as I am. But
I'm excited about it.
The Hawaiian shirt thing, we have little days at YakAttack. Monday is always Hawaiian shirt day.
Cool.
You don't have to participate every day. But yeah, most days you'll see folks in Hawaiian shirts there. We have tie-dye Tuesdays. So, I mean, we have fun.
I like the vibes at YakAttack. I really
Black Shirt Fridays. Like, I don't know where Black Shirt Friday came from, but yeah.
Well, maybe like the Black Friday sale.
I don't know. That's just what people had.
Hey,
that's your orange shirt on Wednesday. You wear your black shirt on Friday, but it's fun.
I will be sending, if I love what I do, but if I ever need employment, I think I would be a great fit for YakAttack, because I would just love the whole short shirt thing, and be, Hawaiian shirts to tie-dye to Black Shirt Fridays. I really like this. I really like the vibe you guys carry. The camaraderie is definitely there. That just shows how much fun you guys like to have at work. And, that keeps the vibe good, a great work environment. So at the end of this, thank you for listening to the River Run podcast. And this is A River Runs Through It. I'm your host, Adam Cross. And this is my man, Wade Clements, a brother from another mother from the motherland, and he will be back soon, and so will I. Till next time, Take care.
Thank you for tuning in to the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. We hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget, for future shows, like, follow, share, and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you check out our individual channels and accounts too. Want to be a guest on one of our shows and talk of adventures, gear, or products? Contact us. Thank you for watching The Noob Show with Matt Gibson, Chasing the Tide with Dustin Nichols, The Rusty Hook with John Rapp, The River Run with Adam Fraser Pross, May Contain Fishing with Daniel Woodcock, Chasing the 20s with Carlisle Esterly and Sean Lavery, Friday Night Bites with Brian Schiller. Thanks for tuning into the Paddle and Fin Network. Subscribe and always wear your PFD.